recommended to them. But when it comes to canning lids, did you know that there's only one type of canning lid that's recommended by home food preservation experts? And that is the two part metal band system. So this is wide mouth. Here we have regular mouth canning lids, and where you can use your jars over and over again. You know, jars are, you know, as long as they're in good shape, there are no chips. You know, you're going to check the mouth, the lid portion of your jar. Make sure there's no chips or anything. You want to check your jar for any hairline fractures or scratches, because those are weak areas. Okay, so you want to make sure these are sound, and as long as they're sound, you can use them over and over and over again. You know, from your, you know, quart size down to your little, wow, this is like a quarter pint, you know, little tiny size. So, and then you have your pint size. This is a wide mouth pint jar. But as long as they're in good shape, you can use them over and over again. Now, with these, this portion, the band, as long as the band is in good shape, you can use this over and over again. So you're going to check it and make sure that there's no rust, that it's sound inside. This one's the only one that looks a little bit where there might be something going on. But if it's rusty, you know, or if it's dented, you don't want to use these. If it's in good condition, you use it over and over again. But this part, the lid, this is a one-shot deal. So the two-part metal system is made up of the lid and the band. Now the lid, you have a metal lid, and it has an enameled underside, and there's a little well right here. You can see the indentation of it. Yeah, there you go. There's a little well, and that well is filled up with a sealing compound. So the purpose of that sealing compound is during processing, when the jar is, you know, it's going to be really hot. You're going to use a canning jar, and the reason you want to use canning jars is because it has a mouth design. This portion is flat up here, and you'll notice with commercial jars, maybe for mayonnaise, pasta sauce, the reason those types of jars aren't recommended for canning is because this surface here is not flat, it's more beveled, and the lids don't fit well on that beveled surface, so there's a high chance of seal failure, and we're going to talk about seals. But you want to, this is going to be sound, and the sealing compound is going to be in contact with the mouth of the jar, this top lip portion, and during processing, it's going to soften. The heat's going to cause it to soften, and the softening, it's going to shape over the mouth of the jar. While it's really hot, it's going to allow air to escape. You can have air that's oxygen that's expressed from the jar, and as the jar cools, this compound is going to harden. So it's softened over the rim of the jar, and upon cooling, it's going to harden, and that's going to prevent air from returning, oxygen from returning into the jar. So that's where you get your seal. Okay, these type of lids form a very, very good seal or vacuum. Excellent. And an excellent seal will be formed and maintained, and that's what you're looking for. You might, if you've ever had jars where they did not seal, and you know you have to reprocess, there's a lot of reasons why you might have had seal failure, but one of the reasons would be reusing these jars, because reusing these lids, because the sealing compound, like I said, it melts and it forms. If you pull it off, like you've opened your jar, you're going to use the contents, and you might think, oh, this looks great, I'm going to use it again. And there are people who say that they use their lids, over and over again. They get a few uses from them. But the reason your chances for seal failure is high is because when this compound molds to the lip of the jar, there's going to be an indentation. And then with the indentation, that's going to, the next time you want to can something, you're not getting that good fit, or you may have lost compound during processing, and that loss of compound, again, you're not going to get a good fit, you're not going to get a good seal, which is going to prevent you from having a vacuum, achieving a vacuum and maintaining that vacuum. So that's the reason why we recommend the one-use lid, with the reusable bands. Now you might have seen lids that are advertised that you use over and over again. The plastic lids, they might come with a gasket, or and the recommendation is to use the band that comes with the traditional two-piece, but you're going to use the plastic and you're going to use the gasket, and they give you instructions on how to use it, because you use it a little bit differently than you would use this type of system. Now, we can't recommend those bands because there's information, there hasn't been publicly distributed research on the efficiency of the bands. What would need to be known is how many times you can use the lid. How do you know that you're maintaining a good vacuum or a good seal? People give their testimony about how they work, and pretty much you would have to trust the manufacturers. Just trust the manufacturer that this is the type of lid, and you have to that this is how you use the lid, this is how it works, and whether or not it's working for you. But as far as it being recommended, until the research comes out of how long the vacuum will last, how many times the lids can be used, how strong a vacuum is formed, we just can't give recommendations for the reusable lids. And again, we do not recommend using these lids over and over for the reasons I pointed out. So that's what I wanted to share with you about lids. I'm just checking to see if I have left anything out. Oh, I did leave something out. Sometimes we receive questions that there's discoloration. I don't have any lids that have any discoloration, but you might have opened up a jar of food and it had a good seal. You knew it had a good seal because that's not happening. You touch it after you've processed, it's nice and concave. You have a good seal. It's not loose. It's not going to come off. So you have a good jar, and you've processed for the appropriate amount of time, the appropriate processing method for your altitude, all of that. You've covered all of the points. You follow the tested recipe. So you're assured that the food that you've canned has been done properly. But when you've removed your lid, you might wonder, why do I have discoloration on the bottom of my lid? It might be darker, or it just doesn't look right. Is the food safe to eat? Discoloration can be caused by minerals. They can be caused by compounds that are in the food. If you have scratches on the enamel side of the lid, there can be a reaction with the compounds in the food with the metal, the exposed metal that's underneath. Your food, if you have followed your the tested recipe and you've done everything that you should, yes, the food is safe to eat. It's not that it's unsafe because you have discoloration on the bottom of your lid. So don't be concerned when you see, oh, you know, well, why does my lid look bad on the underside? But now, if you open up a jar of food and it smells off, doesn't smell the way that it should, or it spurts when you open it, that shouldn't happen. Growth, bubbling, anything like that, well, no, that's not, you know, you do not want to consume that. That's something that has spoiled, and it may cause foodborne illness as well. So you don't want to consume that. But if the only issue with properly canned food is that discoloration, you're good to go. Okay. So that is it for this week's Wednesday Stash. Next week, I'm going to talk about storing your home canned foods, you know, how long you should store it. We tried to do this a couple of weeks ago, but I had a little bit of technology problems. There was no sound. So we're going to revisit that, and we'll have the sound, and we'll also record it. So that's it. If you want to share pictures of your home canned food, we would love to see them. If you'd like to share some of your favorites, it might be things that you've received from others, or if you have questions about your home canned food, go ahead and drop it in the comment section. We will answer your questions. If you like the video and you want to receive alerts about when we're going to have others, just hit the like button. And thank you for participating. Thank you for watching Wednesday Stash. And I'll see you next week. Bye.